23M, 23F, 18F. My fiancé gave me an ultimatum to stop providing for my dependent sister. TLDR. Caring for my mentally ill sister has damaged my relationship with my fiancé to the point where I am choosing one or the other. I, 23M, have been with my girlfriend, 23F, for almost 4 years, and we have plans to get engaged later this year. Over the last 2 months, my sister, 19F, who is our roommate and unemployed, has developed severe mental health issues. Seemingly out of the blue, we've helped her get set up with treatment, but it's very slow. From what I can tell, it's similar to paranoid schizophrenia, because she fabricates memories and adds paranoid aspects that are impossible. For example, she could say an employee we encounter at the grocery tells her he recognizes her because her phone camera roll has been hacked and publicly leaked. In reality, I was there during this interaction, and know that the employee never said a word to her. My sister's mental health situation has caused both my fiancé and I enough stress to be a post on its own. But this is about last night and my relationship with my fiancé. Last night, my sister came to me telling me that she needed to urgently speak to me outside, without any electronics around. Part of that the government is listening in stuff. I always do my best to be supportive without validating her delusions. But in this instance I left my phone right inside the door just to go outside and calm her down. My fiancé was nearby, and loudly voiced that I shouldn't be going along with it, and presented an ultimatum that if I set my phone down and go outside, she will leave our relationship. For context, my fiancé has been very supportive and understanding for the last 2 months, since my sister's mental health issues have started. She has never presented any ultimatums to me in the past, and has never raised her voice to that extent. The process of getting my sister treatment has been long and strenuous, including waiting for hours at the at 3 a.m. on a work night because of my sister's suicidal sentiments. My fiancé has been by my side through all of this, and I can understand that she's at the end of her rope. I have been reassuring her that our efforts are temporary, until my sister is able to get treatment and be able to support herself. Aside from having to navigate bouts of hysterical psychosis, the financial stress has also been taking a toll on us. Since my sister is unemployed and has no savings, we have been covering her portion of the rent, food for the household, and electricity, Wi-Fi, etc. for a few months now. I took over her $356 per month car payments since I co-signed on her car. Because of her delusions, my sister is not trying to find a job and knows she can depend on us to provide for her. After my fiancé made the ultimatum, "Hold on to your phone or I leave," I paused and didn't know how to react. She made the decision herself to start packing her things. My sister was still urgently pleading to talk to me, so I opted to go outside with her. Of course, the usual, "Now this person is tracking me. They hacked into my phone camera, etc." and I had to talk her down. After a few minutes, my fiancé starts bringing her clothes and belonging to her car, getting ready to leave. I quickly finished up with my sister, and went to talk to my fiancé. I tried to express how I understand how difficult it is, but it's just a slow process and not worth her leaving. She expressed how difficult the last 2 months have been, and how much I have been occupied and taken away by these issues. Personally, I feel like I have balanced things as best as the average person could. But she began screaming and nearly crying, which I had never seen her do before. She was yelling fairly unkind things about my sister and unfair things about me, which I'm sure my sister heard. She then boiled it down to one last ultimatum. One will be leaving, either her or my sister. This was last night, where I promised her I would resolve the situation today. I said I would have my sister go live with my mother, and our lives would be stable again after that. I love my fiancée very much, and really do not want to lose her. But I also am very uncomfortable and disappointed in the way she screamed and presented an ultimatum. If anybody is able to offer some advice on how to navigate any aspect of this situation, I would be grateful. I can also provide more context about anything in the comments. Thank you. Edit. I need to note that this has been a point of contention for my fiancé and I for a while. And I can absolutely understand why she would be burnt out. Even though my sister's mental health things started 2 months ago, my sister has not been able to pay her share of bills since September or October. Also, I have never wanted to care for my sister endlessly. That would just enable her to continue a harmful lifestyle and drain my resources and sanity. My goal has been and is still to get her permanent psychiatric help. We are in the process of getting her professional help currently, but the appointments are too few and far between. My fiancé does deserve a lot of credit for sticking around as long as she has, and supporting me through a tough year in other ways, such as my relationship with my mother, who also suffers from mental health complications. We have talked about splitting in the past, but I appreciated her willingness to stick it out longer. Edit number 2. I'm trying my best to respond to everyone's questions and feedback, but I can't be here all day. Thank you to everybody and your advice, and I'll be back to address more at a better time. As someone who works in an inpatient behavioral health setting, it feels like your sister could benefit from further inpatient care and faster, more significant med changes, rather than waiting for monthly appointments. I also worry that if your sister was primarily treated for suicidal thoughts and not necessarily her other currently presenting symptoms, her medication regimen might not be fully helpful to her right now. Honestly, most of my previous patients who have had significant psychosis or paranoia, especially the younger crew with no substance use involvement, tend to be able to stabilize pretty quickly with appropriate med changes and often maintain their stabilization through medication compliance. As someone who suffers with BPD and schizophrenia, I worked incredibly hard and still do to remain stable, as well as 15 years of my working life so far being within the mental health and learning disability sector. I can guarantee it will not be a quick fix. A couple of months is nothing. A couple of years can be nothing. It's a very long process to even gain a diagnosis. Then an even longer process and waitlist for the right treatments and therapies, etc., and even then, they don't always work. She signed on to potentially be your wife, not a 23-year-old carer. I am sorry that you are going through this, but she doesn't deserve this either and has a right to feel the way she feels. It sounds like she is burnt out. If you don't resolve this and if she stays, you may very well end up with a second woman in the house with mental illness. Where are your parents? Why are you taking on the brunt instead of her parents? What treatment is she getting? Why haven't you sold the car? I don't blame her and feel bad for you. She's 23. She wants to be your wife. She doesn't want to have to take care of a 19-year-old. It sounds like your sister should be in an institution that can provide help. I would never leave her alone in my house. Sell her car. She shouldn't be driving. Use some of that dollar. Hopefully you're not upside down towards your finances until she gets into a facility that will provide the help she needs. Info. Why aren't your parents dealing with this? You're 23 and have your whole life ahead of you. There is not a quick fix for her mental health issues that will be offered by you. Getting her into care doesn't mean she is healed. She might need a clinical setting, medication. Either way, not something you can fix for her, let alone in a short amount of time. I can imagine you are a bit stuck though. Where are your parents in all this? This is hard all the way around. What are your plans for your sister? Look at facts. She has no job, bills that need to be paid, and the overall outlook on her condition is not good, as what she has is likely a lifelong issue that will require a full-time caregiver to make sure she is taking her medication and being taken care of. Your fiancé has spent a few months helping you with this. But have you spoke to her about the future? Your only statement is that you will take care of her until she can take care of herself. What if this never happens? Is your fiancé supposed to continue to pay for an additional person, rearrange her life, and likely push off vacations, children, and possible career advancement because of your sister? I understand this is all fictional what IFS right now, but they need to be addressed. It might be best for your fiancé to cut out now. She has spent 4 years with you in hopes to have a life, likely your own space with your own experiences, eventually kids. She now sees that your sister's issues are going to interfere with all of that. This does not make her the in any way. She just wants a different future and cannot see that with you at this time. Let's speak honestly. If your fiancé got pregnant right now, what would you do? Do you trust your sister around the baby? That simple question will explain why she left. Your sister might qualify for Medicare and disability. Look into those options as she is effectively disabled at this point. It might help with getting her additional care. As to your fiancé, there is a world of context you aren't including. Her reaction speaks to me of someone who feels unheard and that her boundaries have been ignored and abused. I posted elsewhere that my dad lived with us for 7 months total. I say 6 cause it is faster to type. My husband and I kept my 75-year-old father alive. Dealt with my mother's almost constant anxiety and stress. Got him through chemo, radiation, and eventually surgery. He went home 2 weeks ago and the peace is amazing. We went into this knowing that his treatment would likely be 6 to 9 months. Started in late May. He went home mid-late December. Everyone said, just for a few months. Quote, I knew better. You should know better. It is only a few months when it ends badly. Your sister is in for the long haul. You need to find her long-term care. She will likely be this way for the next 6 months to a year. She will experience relapses. Chronic conditions like this generally take 5 years from the correct diagnosis to adapt to. Completely. Your sister is lost and scared in her own mind. She is afraid of exactly what she needs because her mental illness is confusing her. You need to get your head out of the sand where it comes to your sister. I know that your fiancé walked away because you are being unrealistic about her care. It isn't a few months. She is actively fighting you getting her treatment. This is a years-long commitment. You have made your sister's issues the center of your life. Fair. She's your sister. And UX does not want that. Nor should she have to. You aren't balancing it. She told you that. And I suspect she has been in very respectful ways. But you only heard during the yelling. Though ultimatums are unfair, you have made choice after choice that, though they may be best for you sister, are not for your ex. She is supporting you emotionally, contributing financially, and you want her to continue to take the backseat in her life? Do you not think that rather selfish? This situation it just highlight that your lives are no longer compatible. Okay, look, I have a very special needs son and I'm also a nurse in a psych unit, so I feel I have experience on both sides. Your sister is likely going to need a lot more help than you realize, and you are way too young to have this responsibility. She sounds like she needs to go to a nursing home. Sure, medications could help, but not sure how much they will help. Your mom probably has the same issues and isn't doing well, so not a good sign. And it's only if she consistently takes them, which many with these conditions do not. I applaud you for doing what you have done thus far, but I would say next time she goes to the hospital, tell the social worker she can't return home. They will have to find a placement for her. You could see how she does over time, and if she really does improve, you could always have her come back to live with you again. Your partner signed up to be your wife eventually, not your sister's carer. She's allowed to be burnt out and not want to deal with it anymore, especially given the time, money and energy you admit this situation has taken. And still no resolution in sight. You keep talking about, once she, sister, gets treatment, but you seem to have very little understanding of the fact that treatment may very well not help. Some people's mental illnesses are treatment resistant, especially ones like what your sister has. Would you then have expected your fiancé to just live like this forever? With all her partner's resources devoted to the care of his sister rather than building a family with his wife? I get that you care about your sister, and wanting to help her as much as you can is admirable. But you only get to make that decision for yourself, not for your partner. I guarantee she's been trying to bring your attention to the issue long before issuing an ultimatum. You just weren't listening. No one goes straight to scorched earth like that. I just wonder, in the 2 months, did you never speak about what will happen with your sister in the future? Or did you just ignore the topic hoping sis will magical get better? And did you talk with a specialist if it is actually better to give in her demands? I also wonder why she isn't in hospital while she is still so in her delusion and not on medication? I mean, if she is just in the beginning, you don't know if she can end up as a danger for others or herself. One of my best friends has a severe case of PBD with schizophrenia. Thinks commercials, ads, people are sending her hidden messages, threats and stuff. It's very difficult for her to live a stable life, but she's medicated. Living with her parents. She's 30. In intense weekly therapy. It's a lot to deal with. I get it. My friend barely goes outside. Can't hold a job or get a degree, and her anxiety and paranoia are tough to manage. I love my friend, but living 24/7 with her would be a challenge, and it'd take compromises. I get where your GF is coming from though. It's a lot to accommodate. Living with someone that mentally ill is very difficult. For everyone. Can she find a halfway house where she can get independence and assistance in her life? Where are your parents? I know it's not really their responsibility after age 18, but your sister needs a strong support system, SSI, and help from the state. You can't do it all yourself, and I understand your GF being burnt out and put off to the side. Again, I feel for you all, but I can see why your GF is tired and worried about what a future looks like with you essentially taking care of your sister like a dependent child. I'm a little confused as to why you're waiting. You keep saying about waiting for appointments. I have never heard of any hospital that wouldn't admit a suicidal person for at least 3 days for observation. If a person is a threat to others or themselves, someone can have them admitted. And they would then do a full psychiatric evaluation, especially if you filled out an appropriate form of all her symptoms. And if they find that person does need help, they can then keep them longer or refer them to a different inpatient care facility. Yeah, she has been financially, emotionally, and physically supporting you and your sister, where you have seemed to neglect any type of needs or concerns she has had. I'm betting she has tried talking with you and you are just now listening after she blew up and left. I understand how you want to help your sister, but there is a line, and if your parents are still in the picture, why aren't they helping? Why isn't she medicated or institutionalized? Like she is tired of being in the backseat and left being unheard by someone who doesn't seem to value her. Your sister needs professional help. You're giving her all of you, and there isn't enough left to go around. If you are helping her with hopes of her just magically getting of better, that is not good plan for any of you. You may have to go to your county's health and talk to them about what the options available per your sister. It sounds like she needs mental help that both you and your fiancé are incapable of giving. If you can, tell your fiancé that you're going to find out what you can do to help your sister with her mental disability and that you will turn to your parents for help for her. I can totally understand why your fiancé screamed and came to an ultimatum. She's as burnt out as you. Physically, financially and emotionally with no end in sight. She's tired of the whole thing. I can totally understand her perspective because I've dealt the same issue with my Bill for years. He's also a drug addict, etc. He's basically a hot mess. I almost got a divorce from my husband due to that. Why? Because he seemed to always prioritize his brother than myself and our child. I was exhausted too financially, emotionally and physically as he kept the whole household hostage, including our kid. Now he still has trauma due to those years, while my husband basically enabled him. Maybe that's how you look to your fiancé. You're enabling your sister instead of trying to help her properly. It should be up to your parents. Even my husband's parents, until today, still are apologetic for the craziness my Bill caused to our household. You see, they gave him tough love, so Bill would go to us to leech on and cause trouble in the household and my Bill's ex-wife actually made a statement how I didn't have any backbone for letting her ex-husband screw our household so badly with his shenanigans. Fair enough, since she did leave and divorce him due to his neglect of her and their child. So find out your options, and if I were you, let your parents be parents. Your sister is still 18. Sure, it's legally an adult, but she's very much their child. You, as well as your fiancé, if you guys get back together, deserve to live your own life too. I'm going to get downvoted like hell for this, but this is my opinion. You are not your sister's keeper. You are not your sister's parent, which it appears she actually has. Yet, you have elected, without discussing and agreeing with your fiancé, to take over the role of being her parent, caretaker, and sole financial provider. If she is delusional, you also aren't qualified to deal with her psychosis, by the way. But you seem to be expecting your fiancé to just deal with it, as you have been, and be okay. So, my question is, where the F is the rest of your family? Why haven't you placed your sister in inpatient care? If she is an adult, why haven't you made her a ward of the state, so she can more quickly qualify for benefits through social services? Your fiancé is a human being. She has obviously reached the end of her ability to deal with this incredibly difficult chaos and financial drain. She may be afraid of your sister escalating and becoming dangerous. I have been reassuring her that our efforts are temporary, until my sister is able to get treatment and be able to support herself. You can't make this promise. She may never be able to recover to the point where she can support herself. Your fiancé is coming to that realization. My advice is to stop trying to be everything for your adult sister. Get the state involved. Get her admitted for inpatient care. Get a POA and sell the car. She shouldn't be driving anyway. And start demanding a lot of help from your other family members. It may not save your relationship, but it will definitely be the wise thing to do. Get her a case manager. Contact local county mental health clinic. In New York State, DSS can provide help for vulnerable adults. Good luck. Call the local psychiatric unit and try to get a planned admission. No need to set yourself on fire to keep someone else warm. Your sister needs inpatient help. Your sister needs help that you can't give her.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epicaricast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.